other things, we have managed to target some additional nuclear scientists. And as for the enriched material, which still remains in Iran, and just like as senior officials in the Trump administration have said, this material, the enriched uranium, will completely come out of Iran, and it will be done either by agreement or by renewing the war. We have also stopped the money machine and the weapons manufacturing machine. We have destroyed petrochemical facilities, weapons manufacturing facilities, bridges, and railroads for transporting these weapons. We have completely destroyed the Iranian Navy, missile bases, headquarter commands, and we have severely harmed the oppression mechanism of the regime. We have killed thousands of their operatives, and we've managed to prove that we can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide. We've also targeted senior officials from the tyrant Khamenei until all the way to the family members of the besieged members. As a result of the strength and determination of Israel, and everybody in the Middle East sees this strength and determination, we are forging new friendships and new allies in the Middle East. And I've said that the temporary ceasefire with Iran will not include Hezbollah, and we continue to strike them with all our might. Together, we have given them the strongest blow that they have suffered since the pagers. We have attacked 100 targets in 10 minutes in places that they were certain which were immune and bulletproof. And dear Israelis living in the north, we are committed to reinstate your safety and security. We have now arranged for security strips deep behind our borders in Lebanon, in Syria, and in Gaza, where we are in control over 50% of the Gaza Strip, and we are suffocating Hamas from all directions. Citizens of Israel, those who try to ignore these amazing, astonishing achievements of the state of Israel and of Israeli soldiers, if you're trying to warp these achievements, either you don't know what you're talking about or that you're talking out of some kind of vested interest. And just as I promised at the beginning of the War of Resurrection, we have changed the face of the Middle East in a way which is dramatically favorable for the state of Israel, and we will continue to do so because we are the ones who are taking the initiative, or proactive and fighting, and God willing, we are the winning side.
We've changed the face of the Middle East. This doesn't seem to be AI. Are we all satisfied that he's actually still alive now? I think those rumours have been put to bed, haven't they? And he doesn't consider attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon to be part of the ceasefire. Ceasefire is with Iran, but of course Hezbollah are Iran's proxies in Lebanon, the Shia militia that have been there since the civil war. Let's get an update on the situation in Iran itself.
90 million of Iranians, they are in dark. We barely know from Iranians inside. Those have Starlink, barely. But those people who have welcomed targeted military strike against their killers are now worried. It is the right of the United States to say that we want to have diplomacy.
So this is Iranian opposition outside of Iran arguing that the people inside the country that are suffering under the brutal regime, that they are welcoming these, what she's referring to as targeted attacks.
But they cannot find less radical leaders in Iran. Basically, these are the people like Ghalibaf, Zarif, every single member of Revolutionary Guards, Mojtaba Khamenei, every single leader, from reformist to conservative. They are, their mindset are exactly like the Stone Age mindset. So if President Trump saying that he wants to take Iran to Stone Age, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to do that because the Islamic Republic already did that.
Well, let me ask you, Masi, because...
So now I have to talk about the experience. This person who was hanged, he was only 18 years old. Jake, Amir Hossein was 18 years old when he took to the streets, and it was not, he took to the street, and he was hopeful because he heard President Trump saying that take to the street, help is on its way. So he was only 1 year old when President Obama was in power. 2009 Green Movement happened, and I remember President Obama did a mistake. Instead of supporting the people of Iran who were naming him that time, he decided to negotiate with the Islamic Republic, and it took him a decade to say it was a mistake. I hope President Trump does not do the same mistake negotiating with Stone Age mindset government. You see that I lost my words because I couldn't sleep. I have been trying to save the lives of these people who are under death row.
So Masi, let me ask you, when President Trump says he threatens to bomb the country back to the Stone Age, how do you take that? Because he's talking about bombing Iran into the Stone Age. Obviously, the enemy is the regime, not the Iranian people. What was your response?
Heartbroken. I'm being very honest. I don't worship politicians. I make them accountable. And when he did the right thing, finishing appeasement, targeting calculated strategic military strike against Ali Khamenei, I welcome that, alongside millions of Iranians. And now, when he says that he wants to take Iran back to Stone Age, it's very clear because Islamic Republic is not Iran. And I'm actually, I want to say to President Trump, when you say there are less radical leaders you want to negotiate with them, they are exactly their mindset is from the Stone Age. Like Ghalibaf, he was in charge of beating up students. He was the architect of, ordering mass killing of students.
I'm in the UK.
Uprising happened in the street with empty hands.
Hello,
Ghalibaf and
Dark
Moshtaba
Vibes.
and other high-ranking members of revolution. Mohseni Ejei is empowered. He is the one ordering massacre. Why don't President Trump target Mohseni Ejei? Why don't he target Saravati, who ordered mass executions? Why Iranians' infrastructure? Because the people of Iran is saying that clearly, that if you don't change this regime, they will use diplomacy, they will buy time, and they will take revenge not only to their own people, but also to the people in the Persian Gulf countries, Arab countries. Also, they will rebuild their machinery, weapons, and terror to take revenge of Americans everywhere. So that's why I am very clear. The Islamic Republic is not Iran. If it was Iranians, believe me, the vast majority of Iranians will negotiate with the United States because we don't want military weapons, nuclear weapons. We don't want to have missiles. We don't want to threat the neighbors. We don't want to have proxies like Hamas, Houthi, Hezbollah. These are the people of Iran. That's the Islamic Republic who do not want to negotiate with the United States of America. And we need to finish the job by ending Islamic Republic, not Iran.
Masi Alinejad, thank you. Appreciate it. So who is
Finish the job they're talking about, and I assume she's one of the supporters of the Shah, the man who regards himself as the rightful heir to the throne. But is that really democratic? Is that a free country if you have one kind of dictatorship instead of another? Let's hear from Donald Trump.
The entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
So which is it? Are you winding this
Can't
down
tell you.
or are you
I can't
escalating
tell
it?
you. I don't know. I can't tell. It depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this. But we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages.
In order for Iran to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else. What's going on?
like you had at the start of the war.
No, not at all. No, no, no. I hope I don't have to do it. They're very good artists. That's why for 47 years they've been booking other presidents, and they haven't done the job. And people are living in hell. You live in that country, they're living in hell. No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough.
So he threatened to take out a civilization. Do you think Donald Trump really wants the Straits of Hormuz to be opened up? He was ranting and raving and swearing and mocking religion, and he said, open the effing straits. Do you think that's really the behavior of someone that is trying to negotiate? Someone floated the theory that now that the US have commandeered the oil from Venezuela, if the Straits of Hormuz remain shut, then people will actually have to buy oil from America. Maybe the whole thing is a smokescreen and he doesn't actually want the straits to be opened. Let's have a little bit of a history lesson. You probably know it already, but it's good to revise your history. This is why we wound up with an Islamic Republic. Here's the historical backdrop and the democratic prime minister that was ousted and replaced with the Shah.
Early 1950s, the democratically elected Prime Minister of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, nationalized the country's oil industry.
At that time, Iran's oil belonged to the British and a consortium of other foreign countries.
The Anglo-Iranian oil company, now BP, was taken over by the government, which planned to use its profits to benefit the people of Iran.
The Americans, fearing that Iran's huge oil reserves would fall into Soviet hands, agreed to get rid of Mossadegh.
The CIA, under the control of a man with the ridiculous name of Kermit Roosevelt, wrote a letter ordering the dismissal of Prime Minister Mossadegh and gave it to the Shah of Iran to sign. When protests broke out against the Shah's decision, the Shah's army arrested the demonstrators. Then the CIA agents went to work, literally paying people to protest in favor of the Shah.
Liberal use of dollar bills and Persian real notes secured a mob which shouted support for the Shah. It was the CIA's first and most successful coup.
Mossadegh was arrested, and the Shah abolished democratic control of Iran.
The Shah never really shook off the image that he was a tool of the West.
So the Shah was a tool of the West. I don't think that is a surprise for anyone, is it? And we've got a couple more clips to have a look at. Just sound check in the chat if you can hear me. Please let me know. And can you tell me if you're able to hear the video? I'm hoping that you can. We've got a clip from Trump coming up.
Why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure to cut off their power? Would that
Coming
be
up.
punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing to, they would be, and it's suffering, they would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians, we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not in those areas, that are living. Please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot. Remember the great woman protest where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused and they were going to protest, and everybody said, oh, the regime's going to come to an end. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 5, 6, a woman would, right between the eyes, had snipers, had 5 snipers, that's all it took. And those 4 or 5 between the eyes, had snipers, had 5 snipers, that's all it took. And those 400,000 or 500,000 women between the eyes. Over there, what's that? A woman shot right between the eyes. Hearing the purr. And after 5 or 6 of them go down, then you start hearing the purr through the vast number. And then they said, oh, who would do that? And they're incredible people, but they've lived so horribly. They've lived so horribly. You know, Iran was a great country if you go back 25 years ago or so. The Persian people, they're incredible, smart, brilliant, actually. And I know so many. I know coming from New York. And very, very brilliant people. But when you're standing in a group and protesting and you have a woman, in the case of the woman, remember the Great Woman March, everybody was saying, oh, this is the end of the country. And then snipers selectively picked. Every single one was shot right between the eyes from a long distance. They were on top of buildings. Nobody even knew where they were, where they're coming from. This wasn't like a machine gun, which is also very bad. They've done that too. They did that recently. This was snipers sitting on the top of buildings, aiming and hitting women. And when they see people go down, and all of a sudden there's a riot in the reverse direction, and they never came out again. And a lot of the news doesn't talk about. They talk about, oh, women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people like, AOC plus 3, all that group. They talk about, oh, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go out. I fully understand. Nobody in this room would go out. I don't think there's any, because frankly, it's not a question of bravery. We're all brave, right? It's brave, I'm brave, we're all brave. But we're also intelligent. If you have people shooting at you, expert shots, with the best rifles you can get, and hitting you right between the eyes every single time. And you're looking here, and you're seeing, and you're looking here, you're out of there. I don't care who it is.
Donald Trump trying to justify what's happened. And let's get another clip. This is this JD Vance? Who's this?
One down airman, evaded capture for more than a day, scaling rugged ridges while hunted by the enemy.
No, it's not. It's the other guy. It's the other guy.
Our emergency transponder. His first message was simple, and it was
That
powerful.
moment of isolation,
He sent a message. God,
fighting spirit shown through. Shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday.
They're trying to use the religious imagery of Easter and the pilot that was shot down. But look, I don't think any religious believer in the Christian story wants to drop bombs, like you mentioned, on school children. That was mentioned in the chat. Let's have a listen to this.
Since you raised that, Iran was an ally of the United States.
Afshin Ratansi.
So Iran has long collaborated with Israel and the United States, infamously, under Reagan. So there's no, and I've lived in Iran, and there's a lot of love for the United States in Iran.
So listen to me. I have a lot of respect for the history and the culture of Iran. And Scott Anderson wrote a great book called The King of Kings last fall, which I'd recommend to everybody to read. The Americans do not do well with regime change. If you go from Mossadegh to the Shah and then out to Khomeini, okay, that's not a great track record for the Americans who are trying to influence regime change in Iran. So it's a very complex situation. I'm not trying to simplify it. A lot of people will come onto your show and be jingoistic and try to simplify it. I'm not trying to simplify it. I'm just telling you that I'm reasonably close to more than one Gulf leader. I've had more than one interpersonal conversation with more than one Gulf leader that does not like the paramilitary proxies, does not like the state-sponsored support of terrorism, and does not like the undue influence that they're trying to perpetrate in their countries. And I think that that's a fact. And so you could disagree with me on that. That's fine. I don't think that was enough to go to war, by the way. Okay, so I was not in agreement with the war. But we're in it now. So here are the goals that I would like to see happen. One, I would like to see a de-escalation. Number two, I would like to see a defanging of that notion. I think these paramilitary groups are just not helpful to the region if you want peace and prosperity.
If anyone would like to get involved in the conversation, it's 07993784079 07886 It should be in the title. If you want to call me, WhatsApp is good, and you can leave a voice note if you want. Send me a voice note on WhatsApp and I will play it out loud. Heather Black is saying, little girls at school. I'm in Canada. I've had tears in my eyes since as a mum. America is getting its nose in foreign conflict for profit, like it's always done. Yet America isn't profiting. Well, yeah, but who is? Who is profiting? Is it BlackRock? Are they the company that is invested in all these weapons? Why do we need to continually be at war? Since its creation, how many years has the US been at war for? And has it ever been about saving women or human rights? I don't think so. That's not to say that the regime in Iran is perfect or that they don't execute people that I disagree with. I'm against the death penalty, but I don't want to see America dropping bombs on people so that they stop taking the lives of other people. And Ricky Young, Trump is a con man who had a TV show called The Apprentice, and it wasn't intelligent. Trump isn't even smart. Yeah, someone in the chat is saying that Trump is smart. Is he? They say that a wise man can play the fool, but the fool can't play the wise man. Trump may be doing a very convincing act of portraying an idiot. Watch Patrick Lancaster, Graham Phillips, who are in Donbass right now. So Donbass, the eastern region of Ukraine. Yeah, we've forgotten all about that. Nelly's saying greetings from Russia. Что ты делаешь? Как дела? Спасибо. Хорошо. That's my little burst of Russian. If anyone in the chat speaks another language and you would like me to speak to you in your language, I will give it a go. Hey, I think I can speak your language. So we've got another clip from Trump. Negotiations. How are the negotiations going? I hope we can hear this. How are the negotiations going? Hello, Emmanuel. chat Mojave Red is saying, how is Trump's wife Natasha doing? I thought she was called Melania. I don't know. Has he got a different wife that I don't know about? Clown Trump, I rather watch Fox News, says John Babb, who wants me to speak English. Hello, mate. I can speak English. That's what English accent always sounds like in American films, isn't it? They seem to think that we all sound like that. What about Tucker Carlson? Shall we hear from Tucker?
Maybe some did, but certainly the leaders of the American Christian churches, by and large, said absolutely nothing. And maybe because they said nothing, this accelerated. These are the same people who sort of didn't notice somehow that on Inauguration Day, the president did not take his oath of office with his hand on the Bible. His wife stood next to him holding it. I was about 15 feet away and saw it, but he did not put his hand on the Bible. And that should have been maybe a clue that we need to pause and think about, what is this? Why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible? You don't believe in the Bible? You think it's just a book? There's no cost to you to putting your hand on it, just kind of following the protocol, going along with the tradition. All presidents do it. Why aren't you doing it? And you're not doing it intentionally. You're choosing not to put your hand on the Bible when you take that oath. That suggests not that you don't believe it's real, because if you didn't believe it was real, why would you care? You put on the costume and take it off, it doesn't matter. That suggests you know it is real, and you're rejecting it intentionally. You know what you're doing, and you're doing it anyway. But nobody asked questions about that either. It seemed kind of inappropriate, given the celebration then in progress, to ask, why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible when you take the oath of office to lead our nation? But pretty much nobody did. I didn't. I'll admit that. I saw it and didn't say one word. Bothered me ever since. But right around January 4th, it became clear that maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And what's inside that book are limits on human behavior. Because if there's one theme that spans all 66 books in the Christian Bible, it's that you are not God. And you cannot assume his powers. Because you don't have them. You may convince yourself you have them, you may want them, you may have been promised them, but in the end, they're not yours. And you'll never have them. And you can only destroy yourself and the people around you by pretending that you do. That is the consistent message. It spans from Genesis to Revelation. People who ignore that law are punished.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. We'll interrupt Tucker Carlson for someone more important. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Habibi?
Oh, good, alhamdulillah. We've got through to the Turk, and he's going to weigh in on things. What do you think about this ceasefire?
Well, is it really a ceasefire, or is it a ceasefire just for both sides to get their resources and troops up, as a reload and then continue,
Yeah,
is it a ceasefire, really?
Is it 10 days or is it 2 weeks? I can't remember. Yeah, it's temporary. If they all just go back to fighting, it's almost like, what's the point? But maybe we've got some negotiations that can go on. I don't know what give and take can happen in that time. I've got friends who are hoping to go back to the Middle East. They've fled here temporarily, waiting to know, is it safe to return?
Yeah, it would be good if they stopped the ceasefire permanently and worked it out somehow, but I don't think that's possible. Both sides are not willing to cooperate in terms of what they want to give up.
Yeah, there's no compromise. In the chat, Mojave is saying, why does it bother you now, Tucker? There's a question, why does Tucker Carlson talk about the Bible now? Has he become a radical fundamentalist? Do you think he's genuinely turned religious, or is it all about the money or the views?
I'm sure he's religious, but he's just using the religious aspects of it just to push his agenda. He's a grifter at the end of the day, and his dad was in the CIA, so he can't really be trusted.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, his dad was running military operations in South America in the 70s. You can fact check that. That's true.
Wow. Okay, there we go. We won't get sued as long as it's true.
It's true. 100% true.
What Turk? What do you mean by grifter? What is a grifter?
A grifter, he's like pushing the current politics and current topics just to fit his narratives or push his plan of what the world outcome should look like.
And in order to make money, or just because he's got an agenda? Where's his agenda coming from?
Well, he has enough money, so the next step for him would be just politics and power.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Has it ever been alleged? I haven't heard Tucker Carlson mentioned in the Epstein files.
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, yeah, nor do I.
I don't think so. It
not.
would be a big deal if he was. Everybody would be talking about it.
Yeah, good point. Mojave is saying Tucker is a businessman. Well, he's got enough money though. I thought he just likes to go fishing in his free time.
He has enough money. He's just going for a power game now.
And he's part of this new part of the right that have ditched Israel. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes is even further down that road, and maybe he's the original. And you might say, well, he's just an anti-Semite, but they're part of this. Is it? I don't know if it's a new thing. Maybe it's always been there.
It's a new thing.
Okay, and he's jumped on board with that. Do you think he gets money from Qatar? Someone is confirming his dad is ex-CIA. Zen is agreeing with you.
Do I think he's? I doubt it, but he's getting money from somewhere or something. All these people are just, you don't know what's happening. You don't know their bank account. You don't know anything about that unless they tell themselves.
But I mean, as much as I've been an opponent of Israel, you could say, for a long time, and I accuse them of compromising people. Other countries do it too. Every country has an agenda. Every country has people that lobby for them, but some more so than others. Some countries are more powerful. Some countries are more influential than others. But I'm just trying to be
for sure.
Consistent.
The Israel lobby has compromised pretty much everybody in American politics.
And Zen is saying he told his dad's story. He got a stroke or something. Okay, maybe his dad fell ill. And Tucker Carlson has mentioned that story. All right. Well, I've got a couple more clips to run through. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
Yes. Thank you, brother.
Masalama. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right. That is the Turk, regular, valued contributor. Let's listen to one more clip.
Confident that we can get a response, whether it's positive or negative. We're going to get a response from the Iranians by 8 o'clock tonight. I hope they make the right response, because what we really want is we want a world where oil and gas is flowing freely, where people can afford to heat their homes and cool their homes, where people can afford to transport themselves to work. That's not going to happen if the Iranians are engaged in acts of economic terrorism. So they've got to know we've got tools in our toolkit that we so far haven't decided to use. The President of the United States can decide to use them, and he will decide to use them if the Iranians don't change their course of conduct.
In the chat, Tucker was found on the road as a child and adopted by wolves. Are you saying that he is the real life Mowgli of the Jungle Book? Zen is advising us to watch Richard Medhurst. I like Richard Medhurst. I don't have any clips of him today. As you're probably aware, the attack on Iran actually destroyed a Jewish synagogue, and we're going to have a little look at a clip of some Jewish Iranians, and they're sharing their thoughts on that incident.
Tell us where we are and tell us about the history of this congregation and how you found a role in it. یعنی عملا وطن ما حتی مقدم
با فارسی صحبت میکنه پس نشون میده که اون قرابت و نزدیکی که به وطن و زادگاهمون داریم خیلی برامون ارزشمنده و اتفاقا تجربه ثابت کرده خصوص جوامع کوچیک متعصب ترن. یعنی ما در ایران با وجود اینکه جمعیت کمتری داریم ولی اعتقادات محکمتری داریم. دانش آموزانمون تو مدارس مختلف درس میخونن، دانشگاه میرن و اون حقوق شهروندی اولیه را کلیمیان در ایران کامل دارن، رهبر دینی دارن، نماینده در مجلس دارن و میشه گفت یک زندگی نسبتا خوبی را در بین جامعه اکثریت تجربه داریم.
Do you face suspicion from other Iranian citizens, supporters of the Islamic Revolution, seeing Israel try to claim the mantle of world Judaism and look upon Jews here as potential spies? I mean, you read many media reports about that, but what has been your experience?
ما در ایران احساس اقلیت بودن نداریم. شاید جمعیت کم برای خود ما سختی داره. یعنی چون وقتی جمعیت کمه محدودیت هایی در اون جامعه وجود داره. ولی تو جامعه اکثریت ما احساس اقلیت بودن یا جدا بودن نداریم. یه عیدی داریم به اسم شابوت یا عید نزول تورات و این عید همیشه در ماهی قرار میگیره که ماه امتحانات مدرسه است که کل سیستم آموزش و پرورش کشور به خاطر تعداد محدود دانش آموزان کلیمی یا امتحانها رو تو این تاریخ ها لغو کرده یا به زمان دیگه ای موکول.
So in that clip, the Jewish gentleman said that first and foremost, we are Iranians and our religion comes second. And religion and nationality are different things. They can be tied together. Some national identities are particularly tied to religion, none more so than the Israeli nationality, although Israelis will be quick to tell you that 20% of the country are not Jewish. But the nationality law in that country says that it is the Jewish state. So if you are a Christian Israeli or a Muslim Israeli, or what's often referred to as an Arab Israeli, even though you've lived in that land for centuries, millennia maybe, and perhaps your identity is something else, something that predates the state of Israel. You're still a citizen of the Israeli state. And you could say that Jewish people living in the Islamic Republic of Iran might always feel like, well, am I really part of this country if it's the Islamic Republic? But as mentioned in the video, Jewish school children are accommodated by being able to take time off for a festival. There are Jewish members of parliament in the Majlis. Even though alcohol is forbidden in the country for Muslims, Jewish people are allowed to drink alcohol because it's part of their culture, part of their religion. So it's no wonder that the last remaining pockets of Jewish populations in the Middle East, the largest one outside the Holy Land, is in Iran. And the population elsewhere dwindled rapidly from 1948 onwards, and there still seems to be a thriving Jewish community in Iran. And Zen is saying, without any problems. Jolly Bean is saying, even until now, all Persians are rejecting the forced T-word behavior of Hezbollah and his people. Okay, look, there's a broad spectrum of opinions. On this channel, we reject all violence and all criminality. But it is interesting to ponder where religious identity meets national identity. And the gentleman in the video said that we're first and foremost Iranian. If you ask people in the UK, where the largest religious belief is non-religious, what comes first, their religion or their nationality? I guess it would depend. I think a lot of Muslims would feel strongly that I'm Muslim first before anything else. And if you're British from a Christian background or from an atheist background, you might not like to hear that. That might sound a little bit treacherous, even to say, oh, how can you put religion before nationality? But if you follow a religion, what could be more important than that? But I don't think we should prioritize certain aspects of our identity. We should just accept that all of our identities are multi-layered. And when you start to become only one thing and your whole identity is defined by that, I think that's when it gets dangerous. That's when it becomes extreme. Be a British Muslim, or an English Christian, or a Welsh atheist, be an agnostic, be an Everton fan, be all of these things. Don't make one and only one thing your whole identity. Okay, and that's not to belittle anyone's religion or anyone's hobby or whatever it might be. Kyla is saying a religion helps you deal with neighbors. All my neighbors want to walk on my face. That's okay. Okay. Love thy neighbor is what it says in the Bible. Jolly Bean saying, I mean, no one wants violence. Basically, the current government are erasing the identity of Persian itself. Are they erasing the identity? How are the current government of Iran erasing Persian identity? Is that because they're making it all about Islam? And Islam is a religion that came from the Arab world. Is that what you're getting at? Because don't forget, Christianity also came from the Middle East. Is the fact that England is now a Christian country, has that erased the native, indigenous, Celtic religions that were here before? Girl Christian is saying, so tired of religious dogma. None of the theologies are singularly correct. None of them, really. What is correct? Christian, can you tell me? And Jolly Bean is saying they don't force their religious practice on others as per what Muslim is doing. Could be. I mean, of course, the Quran does say there's no compulsion in religion, but I'm not saying that there aren't Muslims that breach that. And Zen is making exactly that point. The Quran says there's no compulsion in religion. It's not allowed. Yes, you are right, Zen, but have there been Muslims that have got that wrong? No doubt. There have been Christians also that have got that wrong. At times, Islam and Christianity have both been forcibly inflicted on other people, and we should call it out as wrong, whomever is doing that. And let's be fair, as ever, a group that has never inflicted their beliefs on other people is the Jewish religion, is it not? Jewish people have never actively, not that I've seen, went out to get new recruits. It's not a proselytizing religion. It's not a religion that tries to convert you to their religion. Perhaps similar to Sikhism, Sikhi. They never seem to persuade people to join their religion, but if you really want to, you can. But it's quite a responsibility. And Jolly Bean, yes, and you don't allow the traditional clothes, the way they dress, the way children freedom just dance in the street. Okay. If you ask Iranian itself, They are Muslim. You cannot force them to be Muslim or behead them if they following Christian. Okay, I'm reading these as they come out, and I'm mindful of the fact that many of you are watching in English and it might not be your first language. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this and try and understand and interact and sending all your comments. And if anyone wants to send a voice note, I will play it out. The number is on the screen. You can do that via WhatsApp. Zen is saying they're actively recruiting, especially in America, not necessarily the Orthodox ones, but others do. Do they? I've never seen any Jewish person inviting other people to become Jewish. It's seen as quite a responsibility, like almost like a burden that people wouldn't want to have. That's how. And I'm not saying anything negative about the religion. I'm just giving you the impression that from the religious Jewish people that I've met, they seem to come across as we are people born with a responsibility to be a light unto the world. Isn't that what they call it? Or to heal the nations, and not something that you'd necessarily want other people to follow, not a club you'd want others to join. Zen saying, I mean, look at every president. They make them kiss the wall. Yes, but kissing the wall, the Western Wall, sometimes called the Wailing Wall, although I think that term is not politically correct. That's not people becoming Jewish when the presidents do that. That's, well, I don't know what it is, but it's not them. It's not them becoming Jewish, is it? It's, but it does. Yeah, you're right. It does happen. Zen saying they don't care about the poor people; they want the rich / powerful ones. Okay. But again, that's not about joining another religion, is it? We're talking about influence in the Middle East. And like we mentioned earlier, it's not the only country that does it. Qatar is a powerful, rich country with influence, with a lot of money. Saudi Arabia is a powerful Middle Eastern country. And a lot of these countries are carved up, created, propped up by the British Empire that took over from the Ottoman Empire and put certain families in charge. Zen is saying, then I don't know what consists being Jewish. Well, look, being Jewish, and I'm not the person to ask because I'm not Jewish, but from what I understand, the belief in traditional Judaism was always that traditionally you are Jewish if you are born from a Jewish mother. Regardless of what your personal beliefs are, their belief, their doctrine is that the person born of a Jewish mother is Jewish, is part of that community. But as I say, you could grow up to be secular, and identities are multi-layered, aren't they? Aforakoilnulu is here. Hassan is saying, yes, it's called the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Yes, Sykes-Picot was when Britain, and don't forget France, carved up the whole region. France had their part to play in this as well, as much as Britain. Jolly Bean is saying, example, nationality comes from the people itself. If I take all Indian away from India, would it still be India? No. So you take all white people or Christian people away from the UK, implement Muslim law. Well, who are the... India is a very diverse country. It's a subcontinent itself, isn't it? So the people that they don't even call it India. They call it Bharat. Bharat is India in the Hindi language. And interestingly enough, Bharat in Arabic means spices. So when spices came to the Arab world from India, from Bharat, they must have been given the name Bharat because they came from Bharat, from India. But of course, we call it India because the Indus River, the Indus Valley, flows through the northern part of India, and it was the Western people that referred to these groups, these ethnicities, these different tribes and nations in that part of the world as Hindus or Indians. They would have had their own local name, local dialect, whether you're Punjabi, Gujarati, Sindhi, or from another part of the Indian subcontinent. Jolly Bean is saying, it's not UK anymore, isn't it? Well, why isn't it UK? Was India still India when the Indo-Europeans descended into that part of the subcontinent, coming down from what is now known as Iran, and when those Indo-Europeans displaced and pushed out the Dravidian people that moved to the south? Was it still India then? Religion is different from ethnicity, according to Zen. Being Jew isn't an ethnicity. Being Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, Sephardic, etc. is. All right, Zen, you've got some good knowledge of the different backgrounds of the Jewish people. Jolly Bean is saying basically it's mostly Hindi people, but you have Hindi people in Bangladesh too. Do you? Okay, Hindu people. Someone speaking about India. Yeah. Once again, if you want to call the number or send a voice note, I'm interested to get that experiment going. Soravchadkar is saying 100 kilometers language changes in India. Yeah, definitely. Very diverse part of the world. If you're up in the Punjab, between the 5 rivers, that's what Punjab means. Panj is 5, Ab is river, Punjab, the 5 rivers. Nice little bit of trivia there. Pol Pot Man is saying, can I call and sing to you? Absolutely, Pol Pot Man. Or if you'd like to record your song as a WhatsApp voice note and send it, I will play your vocals live on the show, and we can all judge your singing talent. Are you a bit of a singer? I hope so. Jolly Bean is saying, trust me, I know about Asia. Hassan, you probably don't even know much about history of India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, isn't it? He's challenging your knowledge there, Hassan. He's suggesting that you don't know anything. But look, we're all sitting with Google or ChatGPT at the touch of a button. We could all lie about our knowledge, isn't it? Wisdom, that's what you want. Wisdom. Forget knowledge, it's overrated. Jolly Bean is coming back at him. More than you by far. I'm Pakistani, you goofball. We've got people insulting each other in the chat. That's unfortunate. At least we're not all in the same room and you can't actually have a fight. Although if you two in the chat want to meet up and have a fight, a mutually consenting duel, I will happily referee it, and we can live stream it if you'd like to call each other out. Maybe you can put your weight category and experience in the chat, and we can see if you're a good match for each other. They are one country before the separation due to religion. So yes, it does affect the whole country. Din Kalsov is saying, do we know how Isaac meditated? Don't know. Which Isaac are we talking about? As in Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac begat Jacob. Talk about Iran and its fight on Islam and the wicked regime. Talk about Iran and its fight on Islam. Do you mean that Iran is waging a fight on Islam? Is that what you're saying, Jess Colonel Chizgonde? And Terry Walker is saying, you left-wing melt. I don't know if that's aimed at me, possibly. Give me a call, Terry. You can insult me down the phone if you want. Melt is a strange insult. I think it's kind of come back in the last few years, but not sure exactly what it means. Harry's saying Muslim fatigue is real. Jollybean, if you look at the history itself, the whole idea of nationalism is tied to the country itself. But if that particular country is run on certain false ideology, it's basically terrorism, isn't it? I suppose so. If the freedom of religion or freedom to live according to your faith is human right law, definitely. We agree with that. Isaac in Genesis, father of Jacob. Genesis 24:63, I think. So did Isaac, or rather Jacob, did Isaac meditate? Is that what you're alluding to? Was he a bit like Buddha? Apple Tree saying, I don't understand what we are talking about. Well, we started with the war in Iran and the ceasefire. That is it a ceasefire or not? And we've got into the realms of religion, identity, nationality. Where do the lines meet? How are they interlinked, interconnected? Apple Tree, what's your nationality? And is it linked to any religion? America, God bless America, mentions God a lot in the Constitution, I think, or certainly in the nationalism and the patriotism. It tends to be of a Christian sort of ethos, yet America is very much separate church and state, and it was founded by Christians that fled religious persecution. So Apple Tree is saying USA. Okay, so you're American. And look, I think America, as much as there are bad things about America, one of the good things about America is that you can be an Irish American, an Italian American, an African American, although some people don't like that term, a Mexican American. You can be many things, and they're all American. Apple Tree is saying Israel broke the ceasefire as expected. Hassan is saying big up Charles bin Elizabeth. At the weekend, I was having a great chat with Adam in the in Speaker's Corner, who is part of what's known as the English Muslim Alliance, and it's an alliance between English people and Muslim people. But I'll let you find that in the recent videos on my channel. And of course, we are also dual broadcasting live on Sarah Dardasha as well as Lessons for Life. Don't forget to head over to Sarah Dardasha and check out some of the content over there. This ear should only be with US and not Israel. Israel should have stayed outside of it. The way Israel is doing the war will leave hatred in Iranian people. Israeli attacks have always casualties. And 200 IQ is saying, which side are you on, Iran or Israel? Well, look, even if someone you don't like, or someone who's not perfect, or even a criminal gets attacked in the street, gets beaten up, you know, whose side are you on? This has been Lessons for Life, and we will do it all again soon, God willing. We were here. We are gone. Laters. Okay, thank you for watching over here on Sarah Dardasha. I know maybe the audio quality wasn't as good as it could have been, but I really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll do our best to do some more of these. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification and all that stuff. All right. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.